everyone, welcome at my solo podcast from Studio Rumah Manis. I'm Jorinde, and in this podcast I will share my experience, my thoughts, my vision and my philosophy about life on earth. I will share my experience during my yoga practicing, my sound healing, guiding in Amsterdam, and everything that came through to me and everything where I'm going through in my personal journey. I hope I can inspire you and hopefully to share our stories together. Enjoy listening and stay sparklish. From Studio Rumah Manis. If you maybe already read in the title, this episode will be all about the deeply connection I still have with my Heavenly Father. And before I start, I'm really curious if you have the experience also with someone is already traveled to the other worlds. So if you want to, you can always share with me. I'm really curious about your experience and your story. Alright, let's start this story. Where shall I start? Now, to start on June 9, 2022, yes, my father passed away, and that was my first experience of losing someone who was very close to me, and I lived with him my whole life. So it was my first experience ever. But maybe first a short story before. My family is of five, so my two parents, my father, my mother, and we are with three sisters, so three daughters. And I am the youngest girl of the family. And when my mother became aware of she was pregnant of me, my father wasn't that happy. So I was still in the belly of my mother, but I think it was sort of awkward situation because they already had two children, and now I'm thinking that he was maybe sort of afraid if there's a new child is coming, so another belly has to be filled. I think more in that sort of terms, or panic. Sort of panic. He was sort of, stress is not it's a very big word, sort of, feeling that. And when I heard the stories when I was born, he was there, of course, with the born of me in the hospital, and he was emotional. So that's very beautiful. And my mother told in the beginning time, when I was there already as a little baby, he I think he was maybe observing me but not really contact with me. But when I came a little bit bigger and moved around as a baby, I was the one who searching for the connection. There was something with his shoes. I know at least one picture. I had something with his shoes. He was working in a restaurant always, and he had his black shoes. If you are working in restaurants as a waiter, you know what I mean. And I had something with the shoes. I was walking in it and play around with the shoes. So yeah, slowly the connection came from but I think in the very deeper level the connection was there, of course, already, because I believe when you are a family here on this planet, before we all was born, we already make this appointment with each other to being a family on the planet, on this earth. So making this podcast is also, of course, sort of part of grief, and so it's very good, actually. So if I have tears, I have tears. Okay. So these shoes, that was a way of how I find connection with him. And when I came older, if I'm looking back, I was a very crazy kid in a positive way, but only inside the house. Outside the house, I was not that crazy. And my mother told me he was always laughing at me. So in a deeper level, we had a very we had a very strong connection, but he holds his emotions like almost every one of us. Keep his emotions inside, and he was also filled with a lot of sadness, trauma, that kind of thing. So he was very protected, which I'm looking back, I'm very, very grateful for it. And so there was a sort of connection, and I cannot describe it very well. He wasn't a father that give hugs. Yeah, when I was little, but when I came older, that became a little bit awkward. Or give a kiss, or ask, "How are you?" But I think the most of the parents from my generation didn't do that at all. And we don't have really chit chats, because it's also very deeper here. His throat chakra was very closed, which I take over from him. Okay. So it was also very intense life living with him. He was very, it was intense. I don't go very deep into that, because this podcast is all about the deeply connection I still have with my Heavenly Father. Alright, so with ups and downs, we were father and daughter on this planet, and in a way I didn't understand his vision on life, but in a deeper way I always felt in my teenage years, everything that happens now I can really not understand, but I know that when he will pass away in the future, which I cannot imagine how that will be, everything will have an answer why all this is happening now. And I always believe that, and I always, from the deep inside, I accept how he was. Yeah, he was intense, but at the end I really needed that. Yes, alright. Back to we make a big step forward in this story. Then in 2022, he passed away in June, and he is 4 4.5 weeks. First, he was a couple of days in the hospital, and then the last 4 weeks he spent in the hospice. And after a small week, he asked me to he asked me to stay with him, so to also sleeping there. And he told me, like, yeah, if you can, would you like to sleep in Dutch, of course, would you like to sleep here, for if something will happen then I'm not alone. And it really touched me, and of course I did that. For almost 3 weeks I was there 24/7. Only 2 or 3 nights I slept at home, which I really didn't like it, because I want to be with him, to watch over him. But yeah, and then on the Wednesday, June 8th, we all felt it will happening soon, today, tomorrow, but very soon. So my sister and I were sleeping there. I give him a goodnight kiss. Didn't make it dramatic, because I also felt I don't want to touch him anymore, and respect his body and his soul and all his energy to travel without any negative feelings or guilt, or just respect the situation how it is. And then I forgot a part, but we will get there. And then so on Wednesday evening, went to bed, my sister also, and I really slept on the side of him in my own bed there. And then in the very early morning, and I felt it will happening soon. So I was sleeping, but of course I was also in a awake stand, of course, for already that 4 weeks, to keep an eye on him. And in one moment I was sort of in a dreamy state, and in one moment directly I was awake, opening my eyes directly when I was awake, and then without hearing his breath, without seeing his breathing, he was in peace. He was still. Alright, I'm back. The battery was empty, so I need to switch. And then I was the first one who find him, and then all the protocol continues. And then one week later we had the funeral cremation day, and we all had a speech, and I had a speech as well. And at the end I really asked him, don't let me alone. Maybe you know that beautiful song, Nemekite Pa. I really love that song already before I did my theater studies in 2015 until 2018. And I used it during my theater studies. And I really asked in the church, in the energy, to him, please don't let me alone. So Nemekite Pa, and 3 times in my speech in Dutch. So yeah, it was the speech, and it was done. And then the rest of the day. And then we came home, and it was that part was done also. And then my grieving period started, and there was a lot of happening on the time in my life. My mother got sick in that period with the breast cancer, and I need to finish my studies so it take a couple of months to finish my study. Actually, I need to finish that in summer, but it was in fall. And a couple of other things happening in my life. And it was my first time of this sort of grieving, losing someone that I love from very close. I let the grief feeling, let it happen. So I cried a lot. I felt a lot, going through different states of grief. And you will stay grieving your whole life, but feeling guilt, feeling all that kind of stuff. I want to, in the first period, I want to be with him. Not that I want to be dead. Not that kind of thoughts, but to be with him or in the energy or something. Because I didn't know where he was. Yes, everyone can tell me, yes, he's to heaven. But if I don't have a sort of experience or belief, then I cannot place it. But with small steps, he showed up. Yeah, he showed up. And I think 3 or 4 weeks after his passing or the funeral, I go to the yoga mat again, and then I got my answers, because I want to know where he was. Yes, I know he is baked in the oven like a fish, but where is he? And I was really aware of already soul and that kind of energy. I wasn't there yet. So that was a lot of thoughts I had, feelings, where is he? And during the yin yoga practice, he came through in the meditation. I didn't know if it was real, what I experienced, or it was a hope or a belief or a fantasy, or But then the next time, the chapter 2 came, from where he was, how he traveled. He showed me in sort of dia video how he traveled to his new place, which was very beautiful and gives me a lot of rest. And so very small other experience. I bought a teddy bear, because for 4 weeks I sleep behind him. Behind, is that a good English word? On the side of him. And it felt a little bit empty. So I bought a bear and called him after him, of course. So I bought a teddy bear, and later in a yoga practice, that's very weird, but he showed me he was in the teddy bear. So that kind of sign of he knowing, he showed me that he know what's happening on this planet. Alright, take a sip of tea if you want to. And many more beautiful things. For example, my sisters and I bought I don't know the English word, an urn for his ash if he was cremated. And my 2 sisters has both a urn with a Buddha, the happy Buddha. And I am the only one who bought the urn with the meditation Buddha. I bring the Buddha with me. The Buddha is always with me. And if you're watching this podcast, you see a lot of feathers. Yeah, all signs I received. And so this is, he's inside. And during my grieving period, I had finished school. I didn't work at that moment. I couldn't. And I walked a lot every day, more than 1 hour, sometimes 2 hours. Also in that funeral park when we finished his ride and he was baked. I like to use the word baked. That sounds so cute actually. Like he's a fish or a croissant that's baked in the oven. Almost every day I was walking there in the funeral park. It's a beautiful park here in Amsterdam, also close to my house. Very nice walk. And then on one time I was sitting there close to the building of the oven, and in 1 second, sort of in a natural way, my head turned to the right side. And you don't believe what I saw. I saw this meditation Buddha in a big stone building. Is that how you call it? I don't know how big it is, 2 or 3 meters. And in between the trees, I saw this Buddha. So from the side, and I was completely shocked. And of course, I need to walk to that Buddha. And that was for that intense, deep grieving period, that was my place to go. And then I felt, all right, this is magic. This is him guiding me, showed me his presence by he knowing that I have this Buddha. I asked him to not let me alone, so stand with me in a way how it's possible, because this is my first experience of this connection. And then he showed me that Buddha. It was blown away, And then later on, more signs come up. Feathers came across. Sometimes when I go somewhere for a conversation, the sunlight showed me his presence. During yoga practice and sound healing practice, he came through. Actually, now when I'm making the podcast, a lot of experience. It's not in my head now, but it's maybe okay. So, a lot of experience came through. And I also get a sign actually a couple of days before my cousin passed away, who I met actually during the period when my father was passing. And he lived in Amsterdam too. I got a sign which was very weird, and I didn't understand why I seeing this again during my yoga practice, because my father has already passed away. That was the end of the traveling to heaven, to the other worlds. And it was exactly the same, and I didn't understand why I saw that. And I was thinking, what's going on? Maybe it's an imagine or a fantasy. And then also in the other night, he sort of wake me up, and I felt his energy around me, feeling stressed, like he was also same stressed energy when he was still alive. And then I asked him to go away because I didn't like it. And then 1.5 days later, we heard the news that my cousin passed away. So that kind of signs, it's I cannot have any words for that. And yeah, so very intense signs I get through, I received from him during that very intense grieving part of, let's say, two years. It was, I think, really 2 years that I was off the planet, sort of. And then slowly I came back to life. And also, actually, the place where I work for the 8 hours part-time, that felt also like guided by him. And it's beautiful. And everything what I'm doing now with my sound healing and yoga, it's all guided by him. And you know how I imagine that someone that's passed away and it's a guardian angel, when you are not a human anymore, that I imagine that if you are crossed, you can see the people in their pure essence more deeply. And if that human is open to receive, you can help them through their soul path on this earth. That is actually how I experience this connection. And it's not always nice, also challenging, because of my own thoughts and ego, because of that actually. So it's very beautiful how this connection is still going on. And I still know in the hospice, a couple of times per week, a man came. He's working there in the hospice, and he knows everything about the Bible. I don't have any knowledge about the Bible, but I really want to learn it. And I know, and I have it still on a video, that he told my father, yes, it's very good that you accept this situation and that you will cross this step over to the other world and let your wife, is that a good word, wife and daughters stay on the planet, but you will not be here anymore, but you will go to God. And I do, on that moment I was there also in the room, and I make it visual for myself. And actually that sort of visual, that is now really happening. Now I really experience how thin the line is between earth and heaven. If you are open for it to experience and to receive and to go deep into yourself and go raw, because this process of receiving signs and allow yourself to be guided to the pure energy of your guides. I really feel he's my guide. He was already on this planet, but on a very strong way, very hard, strong way. Now it's the opposite, but also strong, of course. What was I telling, actually? Oh yeah, if you are open for it, then the magic can happen in your life. And because of my grief period, I practiced sound healing and yin yoga. Oh, I can share some beautiful experience about that. That was also all what I want to share with you. During the strong feeling of I need to know more about sound healing, I found the course, and I'm still doing more courses. And then I came there in the building, on the place, and I was eye in eye with, of course, a meditation Buddha. That was my sign. And when I was in the train traveling, the big golden shiny sun was shining on me. That was a sign from, yes, go girl, go for it. And during my yin yoga course, the first day or the first weekend, there was again some big golden sunlight shining off me, and of course I made pictures and videos of it all. So that was a sign already. And later, when I finished the course, I bought some books for my learning. I still need to read them, a lot of them. And it was a small book, so it came home. And I make the package open. I take the book out of it. And then the envelope, I still keep it here in my room. And later I want to declutter my room. I checked the envelope inside. And what was there inside? A very small, tiny Buddha. Yeah, call me crazy. Yeah, there was a small, tiny Buddha. I still have it in my cabin. It was a very heart-warming experience as well. And yeah, and then at the end of 2023, so it's more than 1 year of his passing, I apply at a studio where I'm still, for asking if they are open to have someone to guide sound baths. And I had a very nice conversation. I was already in that room. I already came to that studio. And then my first trial class, I become aware of that meditation Buddha again. Yeah. And the first times, for a couple of months, I felt him very close to me when I did my first sound baths, which was really beautiful, but I also felt myself awkward. But yeah, it is so beautiful. And later on, I apply at the other studio where I'm still at. I had a sort of audition, and then we are a match. And that studio, when I had my audition, and I'm still at every Saturday evening, it's 1 minute cycling away from the hospice where my father passed away. So every Saturday when I go to the studio to guide now in yin yoga with sound healing practice, I'm always literally cycle by the hospice. I watch the front door eye in eye. I can see this whole hospice. I can touch it if I want it. So it's a really heartwarming experience every Saturday when the class continue, of course. And I feel every time in sort of inside goosebumps because of this magic. And in the other studio is very close by my house here. It's 5-minute cycle, so that's he can watch me. And the other studio, it's in the center of Amsterdam. And when I'm there now for 1 year. when I go there with the public transport first, I was passing the restaurant where he worked until he was 65. And now, since 2 weeks or so, I cycling literally every week. Every time I go there, passing the restaurant he worked for a lot of years until he was 65. It's by the PC Hoofdstraat, a Indonesian restaurant. Yeah, I think it's quite popular in Amsterdam, Samasebo. And when I cycled passing that restaurant, that goosebumps feeling, and I feel that magic of this deeply connection by being open to him. I opened my heart for him to receive it, for every sign and every journey and every chapter I may have to experience on this planet. And it's magical. And everything what I'm doing now with my sound healing and my yoga, being on the mats, and my part-time job for 8 hours per week, it's all guided by him. And that's connecting my heart and my intuition by follow. And it wasn't easy to take this step to this life. It sounds maybe easy, but it wasn't easy. I created a full life for myself, what to do after my graduation, finish my studies, and everything what I had created in my head is not happening. Nothing is happening of that picture I create. It's more beautiful than I had ever imagined. And actually, during my studies already, when I finished my studies, I have to work for 5 days, being behind the computer and doing my thing until I'm 65. And now, by going through that deep grief, finding peace in this situation of losing him as a human and find him as his pure essence, it's magic. I don't know what my line was to follow, to go through it. And it wasn't easy. It was very raw and tough and hard and scary to go through it, to let all the emotions be and came out. But if you allow yourself to go through it and to be raw, then hopefully you will experience the beauty of life. Yeah. And I'm really open for his energy, his guidance. He came across in my dreams, not every night. Sometimes he came across, and sometimes I experience something, and then I know, oh yeah, the real something happening. And it was, and it's beautiful. And when I'm looking now at my life, I cannot believe that this is my life now. And I'm so grateful, and also so grateful to combine this all with being a caregiver for my mother. She is still recovering and healing from the cancer journey, and more deeper, actually. It's deeper than the cancer, and stand by her side and help her where she need help, to combine this all in the presence of him, my Heavenly Father. And he watched us very good. He really look over us, and I feel that. And I couldn't be more peaceful in this situation and grateful. And it's you, if you didn't of now, I don't know, but if you experienced it also, I'm so curious about your story and how you experienced this all. And yeah, I'm so curious about other stories. I know I'm not crazy in that way. But sometimes I can believe that this is happen, and that this is the life at the moment, all guided by him. And I really can believe it. But it's a blessing. It is. It really is. So yeah, hopefully upcoming evening and night he's not coming stand by my bed like he did yesterday evening. Yeah, I think this was a solo podcast, a little bit all over the place. I hope you can follow it a little bit. And if you have any questions and if you want to share your story, please do. Yeah, I think this is the end of the podcast. Episode 4 about the deeply connection with my Heavenly Father. Thank you so much for listening. And if you're here on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. And I'm looking forward to create a new podcast. Maybe solo or maybe with you. Let's see how it flows. Thank you so much. Yeah, you can follow me on my other channels. You can on my other social media accounts. You can find them in my description box. And if I forgot something, then I forgot. Yeah, I don't know if I tell everything. Probably I tell everything what I had to share at this moment. Thank you so much for listening, and hopefully having you next time again. Bye.